Sesney was there talking about what could happen here. There were various proposals, and the idea came up, what if we could raise money from individuals, create a charity, and do something super special that would maintain the status as a municipal golf course that was available to everybody, and build a community orientation beyond anything that had ever happened here, and really give back through the game.
This is a story about giving back, a group of citizens deciding to change their community forever with the gift of open golf. Hi, my name is Trey Wren. I'm a Palm Beach County resident, a filmmaker, and above all else, a golfer. I've been given the opportunity to tell you this story. These are my observations and my conversations with a few of the countless people who created the park. Our story began when two Palm Beach County residents wandered this abandoned golf course on a Saturday afternoon.
I'm Seth Waugh, and I live in North Palm Beach, Florida.
Seth has been a Palm Beach County resident for decades. Very few people have a higher golf IQ or influence in the game than Seth Waugh. We'll get back to Seth in a minute. The park's story began in 2020, but there's been a public golf course on this site for decades.
This site was a municipal golf course from the 40s. It was designed by probably the top architect working at that time in the late 1940s, Dick Wilson.
It was an important place in South Florida golf. It hosted PGA Tour events.
This is special, and it was chosen in the 40s to be a site for a golf course when there were a lot of choices around here for really good reasons.
I played the old municipal course several times when I was younger. It was completely different. It was not maintained particularly well, but it was an important outlet for the community.
And then there was a renovation done, I don't know exactly when, but it was unsuccessful.
This land had been deserted for several years and it really abandoned as a golf course by the city of West Palm Beach.
So it came to my attention from a PGA member who came to my office and sort of said, he said, what do you know about the West Palm Beach golf course? And I said, well, I've never heard of it. So that Saturday, I convinced my wife to come to West Palm for a lunch. And then I said, by the way, I need to go check something out. Do you mind coming along? And she happens to be a golfer. And we pulled into the Forest Hills High School and parked and said, I guess this is it, because that's where the GPS took us. And you could sort of see the crumbling sign and a chain link fence. And we kind of pulled it apart and walked through, this rubble to get inside, and walked, 100 yards into it. And it blew me away. I mean, it was just, you could see golf. It wasn't a golf course anymore because it had been closed for 5 years or so, and the buildings were all down or either crumbling. But you could see, it's like that when you go to Ireland or Scotland and you can just see golf courses kind of everywhere in the landscape. That's what it was. And I remember turning to Jane and saying, we got to do something with this. And that was the first moment and the kernel of the idea to, start this whole project. And so from there, I then went and saw Dirk.
When we got together, and when I say we, it's Seth Waugh and myself, that was the original conversation. Davis Sesna was there talking about what could happen here. There were various proposals, and the idea came up, what if we could raise money from individuals, create a charity, and do something super special that would maintain the status as a municipal golf course that was available to everybody, and build a community orientation beyond anything that had ever happened here, and really give back through the game. And my recollection is that Seth went to the mayor of West Palm Beach and asked him if that would be a possibility.
I had known the mayor a little bit, and I went to see him and I said, look, you don't know me that well, but I care about this place. This is my home, and I think this is a public facility that the town should own. And I said, if you want money, you should probably just go to a developer and get whatever you're going to get paid for it. If you really want golf and you want this to be a public facility, let me tell you my sort of thought about that, or vision, I guess.
When I first met with Seth, who's head of the PGA, and he kind of shared with me what his vision, it directly aligned with my vision of making West Palm Beach a community of opportunity for all.
We would raise the money privately, and he looked at me and he said, you really think you can do this? And I said, I do. And he said, well, how much time do you need to figure it out? And I said, well, can you give me 60 days?
And so I was willing to give him the room and the time to raise the money.
If we could get somebody like Gil Hance to design a new course and contribute his design fee as part of the charitable action, that would be incredibly energizing for the project.
Well, it all started with a phone call from Seth Waugh, and Seth said, listen, we've got this perhaps crazy vision for the West Palm Beach Community Golf Course. So I got on a call with Seth and Dirk, and they said, listen, we think you and your team are the right ones to do this project. Will you take a leap of faith with us and jump in?
I basically said, look, this is probably, if it happens, the best opportunity to do two things. One is to build a new golf course in probably the most important, in terms of golf, region of the country, right here in Southeast Florida. There won't be a better piece of land to do what you do, which is build beautiful golf courses that fit in with the natural characteristics of the landscape. But the second thing is, there won't be a better opportunity to give back through the game. Would you be interested in doing this? And instead of saying either no or maybe I'll have to come look at it, he said yes on the phone.
We knew the mission was going to be special, and that ultimately it would be a great thing for a community.
Wow. We just went from this is a good idea to we're probably going to actually do this. And then my next phone call, after discussing who the right person was with Seth, was to Dan Stanton. Dan's a wonderful person, a great businessman, a devoted golfer, very charitable, and also maybe the most effective fundraiser I've ever met in my life. Somebody who, in his own words, has no problem asking people for dough. That's his line.
Well, my name's Dan Stanton, and home for me is right here in Palm Beach. I had been involved in a variety of philanthropic things, so that combined with the golf, I guess, made me a candidate to fit into the group.
And when Dan said I'm in, with Gil on board as the architect, with Seth on board driving the relationship with the golf community and with the city, I knew it was going to happen. I knew that we were past critical mass and we were going to get this done. That was it. When I hung up with Dan, I was like, this is going to go down.
Dirk is going to kind of handle the golf course. Dan's going to kind of handle the money raise, but we got all this other stuff we need to build, and we need a local. And I said, I think Tommy Frankel's the right guy. I called him, and in 30 seconds it was a yes.
To have the opportunity to be involved with such great people for such a great project was just like super, super exciting. There was no one really leading the charge as far as design, permitting, contractors, and so bookkeeping, everything. I just started doing that and ended up, really enjoying it.
We talked about the financial needs to get this going, and we thought that this project was going to cost somewhere in the $30 million plus range, and we really wanted to have a $20 million endowment for any eventuality that could take place in the future.
We called people who were successful people who have been very privileged in their experience with the game of golf. And we asked a question: have you had an opportunity to give back through a game that has given you so much?
We had an amazing experience in that we started in the last week or so of 2020, and by April 1st, we had pledges for almost $50 million.
it was an easy raise because they believed in what this project can do. Many of the people donating to this, they played some of the finest courses in the world. They don't need another golf course to play. But I think they believed in the mission of this particular facility and what it could do, particularly for our youth.
You know, I'm not a big fundraiser. I've done it a few times.
And I think if he were sitting here next to me, he'd say that he sort of enjoyed the process. Unexpectedly, I would say.
It was kind of fun because I usually hate asking people for things, but I believe so much in what we were doing that I had that strong sense of I'm actually giving you an opportunity to participate in something that you're going to be glad you did participate in. And that makes the call a much easier one to make. It was just incredible how people wanted to support this. So that gave us a strong feeling that we were doing the right thing.
I'm all right today. You're gonna find a way to cross and you're gonna get there.
Hello, everybody. Can I get your attention, please, to start the evening? My name is Brad Faxon. I'm the MC tonight. If you want to stand in closer, you might hear better with all the wind. I'm just thinking how hard this ninth hole is going to be if it's blowing here out of the southwest, Gil. Better be a wide fairway, especially for the mayor here. You got to start practicing. It's an exciting night. The agenda tonight, the mayor's going to speak.
But I have to really take my hat off. And it does bring tears to my eyes, because I remember the very first conversation I had with this gentleman. You know, we came into the conference room, and then, you know, he had a little idea. He had a vision. He said, that golf course there, I think I can help you with that. But the more we talked, the more I realized, yes, he did want to certainly help us with the golf course and rebuild it and the clubhouse and everything. But his vision was much broader than that. He really wanted to do something for our community and for our kids. And I got right with that. I said, I share that. So we have really knitted and bonded over this vision. So Seth, and I know you're going to come up later and talk, but a special round of applause for Seth Wall, ladies and gentlemen.
Seth Wall, everybody, the founder. I think the easiest way to start this is how do we get here?
Everybody's thanking me. Like, this, life's a team sport, right? Like, we've put together an incredible group, which I'll talk about in a second. But the first one I'm going to start with is the mayor. You know, we had met each other a little bit through Brightline, but really didn't know each other very well. And I said, I've got this kind of crazy idea, I think, but I think we can pull it off. And within an hour, he kind of said, look, that's a great idea. And I then called Dirk and said, you know, Dirk Ziff, who is an incredible entrepreneur, person, organizer. We called Gil and said, is this crazy? And you said, you know, this is a 9 or a 10 out of property. It is an amazing piece of property. I mean, you're going to see the rest of it. We're in a corner of it. There's 190 acres behind us, right? You can't believe that it exists. And everybody warned me about how hard it is to work with a city. I've had the exact opposite experience. And why do we do it? Well, because it's here. I think we can do something here that's really special. And it's happened organically. It's happened magically. Everybody's committed their sweat, but their passion and their excitement about this. And this is not about, you know, we're going to create an unbelievable facility. He's going to build this unbelievable golf course. We're going to have a par 3 course and a practice facility and a putting experience and all the great things. So it's going to be great stuff. We want to create a community that's based in golf, but not just about golf, right? We called it a park for a reason, right? This is 190 acres that the residents own. We don't own it. We're just borrowing it so that we can do some good with it.
All the pieces are in place to create this for the community. The people, the plan, the dough. Now it's time to build it.
We started to think about what kind of golf course we wanted to build. And I say we because Gil did invite me into the design process, which was a dream come true for me. There was one word. We wanted it to be fun. In your mind, what are the most fun golf courses you've played? What are the most fun golf holes you've played, and why?
It came back, but almost everybody circled around width. They liked wide golf courses. They liked the ground game. They liked opportunities to score and be creative around the greens.
It's interesting because everyone loves a fun golf course, but we had never heard of a project being guided by that principle above all others. I mean, golf is an intimidating sport for people who've never played. So we wanted it to be enjoyable for people who are literally beginners, but we also wanted it to be a great deal of fun for people who are excellent, because there's a lot of excellent players here and we want them to be here as well. The most fun golf course we could possibly build seemed like a really worthwhile thing to do.
With a design principle in place, construction begins. I asked my friend, aspiring architect, and park intern, Brad Gale, to tell us about the stages of golf construction.
My name is Brad Gale. I'm a shaper right now. I guess you could consider, by getting hired to work there, I was probably the first charitable case that an opportunity was given to somebody that might have not else otherwise had it, because I had no right working in construction. You know, golf construction starts obviously with coming up with a plan.
You know, Dirk Ziff has been very involved in the design of the golf course, working with us.
Gil said, look, I want you to take a shot at routing the golf course as a first draft, just to get the ball rolling. You know, I've dedicated myself best I know how on my own to learning about these things. And so I'd walk the property, I know how to read a topo map, I knew where the clubhouse was going to be. And so he gave me a couple instructions. He wanted the first hole to be a par 5. He didn't want the second hole to be a par 3. He wanted the third hole to return to the clubhouse, 9th hole back to the clubhouse, and then, you know, the back 9 can be on its own. So that was the instructions, and I did my best to figure out a puzzle, and it seemed like the best way to do it was a routing that included 5 par 3s and started with a par 5, ended with a par 5. Seemed to work pretty well. I was happy with it as a first draft, and I sent it off to him. And he called me the next day, received it, and he said, this is actually pretty good. I really love the changes of direction. I really love, you know, the use of the property, especially saving the best land for the last few holes. I love the shorter kind of half par holes, which is one of the things that our fund committee told us they liked, was short par 5s, short par 4s. I like saving that for the end, when most people who are playing matches are trying to make birdies and getting into it. And great start. I give it to my partner, Jim Wagner. He's a tough grader. He'll take a look. A week later, Jim wasn't able to figure out how to make it better. About 2 or 3 months after I submitted that, Gil called me and said, we're throwing in the towel and we're going to build what you drew. And I have to be honest with you, that was a thrill. It's an absolute thrill. So, you know, when I look around this property, these are holes that I imagined sitting over a topo map, you know, in the summer of 2020, drawing lines and making sure that there was enough fairway corridor and making sure that it was safe, and all the things you have to think about when you're trying to plot your way around 200 acres and show people a good time with golf clubs. So that's how the routing came about.
Then clearing begins.
We started to actually build the golf course in June of 21. You know, you could really see the ground emerge from underneath, you know, what nature had reclaimed.
It was so shocking to see the pure sand that was underneath that.
Well, anytime you can work on sand, that gets us excited. And the more we came to learn about the property through the process, the more we realized that there was an opportunity not only to do something really special for the community, special for the game of golf, but also to build a special golf course. This golf course has as much topography, natural topography, not created topography, but natural topography as any site in the West Palm Beach area.
We started in the southeast corner with the 8th and then the 7th and 6th holes. I thought, of course, you would start with 1 and then go to 2 and build them in sequence. That's not the way it worked at all. You know, we had to consider access in and out and not wanting to go over existing golf holes with equipment as you move to other golf. There's a lot of considerations that never occurred to me. And so we kind of painted our way out of a corner, if you will.
So once that rough shaping happens, then certain things start to get into the final shaping, and that's when the rakes come out. Drainage and irrigation get installed.
The pace of transformation was way beyond what I could have dreamt. It was so fast. The whole thing happened in about 8 or 9 months.
Once the water gets turned on and the grass goes down, the construction side of it's done from the golf perspective. It's time for the grow-in, which in a lot of ways is maybe the most crucial part of it, because you've got this newborn. It's very delicate. You know, it's going to take a lot of care and maintenance and attention to really firmly establish the vision that was instilled by the architects that helped build it. That was left up to Frank O'Rourke, Jake, and Pete.
I'd known this incredible superintendent and person from previous lives, and a personal connection that was made at Seminole and then through life, named Frank O'Rourke. You know, we really wanted to have the superintendent to own every blade of grass, to know where not only know where the sprinklers are, but put them there and understand how Gil and Jim were thinking and what bunkers were going to be tricky and how the water was going to drain. And it was, one of the great decisions of this whole thing. You know, employee number one, Frank O'Rourke, has killed it, and he's brought on this amazing team of people. And literally his senior staff has lived in a trailer on campus here from the beginning and loved it. As we're sort of talking about the golf course, and you're realizing, you're going to build a vertical.
Mick Welsdorf, originally from Chicago. I went to architecture grad school years and years ago. I don't practice as an architect, but Dan and Dirk asked me
more than what he's going to tell.
asked me to be involved in the design of the vertical structures, and they asked me to pair with Tom, who is going to lead the development. Tom's been there every single day for the last year and a half on property, and that's not counting all the meetings and the time that we spent before it started.
That guy has put his entire life on hold to do this, and he's a busy guy. I don't know what we would have done without him. He's absolutely been the MVP.
And by the way, if he's missed a couple days, there's other days he's been twice.
It's just amazing what he's done, and he loves every minute of it. So every time I try to thank him, he thanks me for, making that call.
Now, at the end of 2021, the golf course has begun to take shape, and the construction of the built environment is underway. The year ahead for the park will be spent under construction, building the campus, maintaining the golf course, editing, testing. There will be daily progress everywhere you look. Part of the final editing process was done here in March by Gil, the founders, and Frank. They walked the golf course discussing finishes, grass lines, bunkers. The attention to detail from this team was remarkable.
Is it aesthetically useful to have a little native area there, or is that going to look like a These beautiful like that.
By April, the grow-in work has become maintenance on much of the course. The buildings, par 3, range are all making headway, despite setbacks beyond the team's control.
Everyone knows this has been a much more expensive and difficult time to build than we anticipated at the beginning.
It was a difficult environment. COVID, inflation made it difficult, but we really had people step up, designers, contractors, and really make it happen. I think the biggest challenge we really had at the end of the day was inflation.
As spring comes to an end, the testing of the golf course began. Less than a year after breaking ground, the first 18-hole rounds were played at the park.
So finally, the grass grows, and it's time to play some golf. And the 13th hole is a hole that runs to the southwest. It's a par 4, built into a side hill with a big wide fairway. It's kind of different and kind of cool. And then the green sits up in a high spot. And Gil shaped this green. It looked quite severe. It sloped off quite steeply to the right. And the wind comes mostly out of the left. So I'm picturing people really struggling. And I said, Gil, I think it's too hard. I had won a few arguments over the course of the construction of the golf course, but Gil wasn't moving on this one. You're like, no, I think it's fine. Gil, a lot of people think it's too hard. I think it's fine. And I was lucky enough to be in the first foursome, and I was with my son and a guy named Brad Gale. We went out, we played the round, and we got to 13. And Brad hit his first bad tee shot of the day, hooked it into the native area left, and I hit a good tee shot, and I'm standing there at my ball. Brad hits his shot, I watch it go up, and my son is up near the green, and the ball lands, I can't see it, and all of a sudden, everyone's got their arms in the air. And I'm like, what just happened? He jarred it for an eagle from 140 yards. And I'm standing there going, that's incredible. So now it's my turn. And I hit the shot, and the pin's up, kind of hidden, and the ball's going right at it. And I hear this big clank. And my son starts running around like a madman on the green, like this. And I get goosebumps right now, and I realized, oh my God, my ball just went in on top of his. We both made eagle. And I fell face down on the fairway, and guys behind us thought I'd had cardiac arrest. They didn't know what was happening. They're like, what's going on? They're waiting on the tee. Like, what is happening out there? And walked up, and Brad and I were just in shock, and we look at our balls in the hole. And I reached for my phone, and I called Gil, and I said, I don't think it's too hard. I told him what happened. He said, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. Are you kidding me? And you know what? Here's the crazy thing. It's not too hard. People love the hole. He was right all along. It didn't take 2 eagles in the first round to prove it. It took, a few hundred people playing the golf course, and we've not heard a peep about that hole.
It was this summer of 2022 when the golf course really came to life.
Smoke swell haze on the hill over Tennessee, making your churches hard, burn tobacco leaves. Go till I do occupy this tree with me. Summer feeling. The rose that roll and bend around the earth you knew is waiting for you, dear. Some waves swept blow drips from your mouth. The hazel hounds move south to meet you here. Sky gone a certain shade of blue, the kind that heaven's fixing up for you. Boy, that surefire desire is true. Raw hands, heart beating to the smoky view. Warm glow morning soaked in pastel tea. Soulful kissed into the concrete.
Here in the fall of 2022, the built environment has taken shape. The vision of the founders has been realized.
Well, we were trying to create something, I think, in general that was approachable, certainly not clubby and not private, but very much like a public place. So open from the moment you get there, which is kind of the way we laid out the structures. You come through, you don't have to, frankly, you don't have to go inside if you don't want to. And so we created this kind of procession that was tried to link to the golf. So every different space, whether it's the main dining room or the casual patio or the halfway house, have some exposure to an element of the golf experience, whether it's the first tee in the first hole or coming up 18 as a little bit of a, theater. It just felt, again, not private, not interior, no intimidation, don't have to go through doors. That was the idea. Hopefully, when it's open, it just feels fun, easy to be there, even if you're not, super keen on golf. Just a fun place for the community to hang out.
A year of growth, fueled by significant effort, comes to a close. The course is ready for daily play, but a decision was made early on that the park would not open until the entire campus was ready. This place is more than just a golf course. It's a community center, a range, a restaurant, a par 3 course, an outdoor bar, a putting course, and a golf course.
I would wish for anybody the experience of working on something that's so worthwhile, where you feel like you're doing the right thing for the right reason, and you're doing it with fantastic people. Everyone's just trying to get a good thing done here on behalf of people other than themselves. And yeah, it's just a great thing to be a part of. You know, we're turning it over gradually to the professionals that we've hired to actually run it day in, day out, which is what you should do. It's what we expected to do. But, you know, as our role starts to recede, and Brian Conley, our general manager, and the team that he's hired, which we feel great about, start to take over, I have to say that there's a little sense of longing for those days when, you know, we were all in the trenches together.
I mean, it's infectious, it's contagious, it's really true energy, and that energy, like I said, is going to get amped up once we're open. The fact that we've taken our time, and I'm glad we have, you can only think about so much of what we're going to be when we're open, and you have to just kind of go with your gut. You're not going to have every answer. When you open, you really start to learn what you're right about, what you're not right about, what we were close to, and that's when the fun part starts.
We are very close to opening the doors to the world and feel quite good about what we've created.
You're now 1 month away from opening day. The course is waiting. The buildings are complete. Just before the first day of Open Golf, a ceremony and first annual Founders Day was held.
Tommy Frankel said this morning, it feels like Christmas morning, only better. And I think that says it perfectly.
This day was all about recognizing and celebrating this incredible gift of public golf and thanking the countless people that helped the project along the way. The original founders, donors, staff, and city representatives gathered to cut the ribbon, say a few words, and play golf.
Don't you just love it when a plan comes together? I mean, here we are, right? It's going to be a little hard not to get emotional, but we named this the park. This is exactly what we had in mind, right? There's just so many people to thank, and like, I'm a big believer that life is a team sport, and there's no better sort of advertisement for that than this. And you know, somehow we've raised over $55 million because of the generosity of people, but a lot of energy. In recognition of everything that the mayor has done, he does not know this, so I might get a little emotion here. We, with your permission, would love to name our community center the Honorable Keith James. We have one more thing before we get to the golf, and that is, I've had lucky enough to have 20 years of friendship with this man, and like all of you, sight unseen, he said yes at hello. And it took 10 seconds to have him become a major donor for us. His only stipulation was that it would remain anonymous, and that's been true until right now. And so this is very personal to him. The mayor talked about growing up on muni golf courses, and that's how he grew up. And so I'd love to invite up my great friend and partner, Tiger Woods, to...
I want to say congratulations to everyone who's been a part of this. I'm a big believer in public golf courses because that's how I started the game. I would not have been a part of the game if it wasn't for that. So I just want to say thank you very much for having me be a part of the park. Thank you.
Before we go, we're gonna cut the ribbon, and then we're gonna hit the shot, and then we're gonna play some golf.
By myself?
1, 2, 3.
The experience of bringing this into being is a life highlight for me personally in many ways, and an important way is the quality and effort of the volunteer team that came together to create this. Truly world class, outstanding. You know, when you're enjoying yourself as much as we enjoyed ourselves, and you have so much respect for the people you're working with, and everyone's kind of just, you know, staying in their swim lane, and getting their job done. You feel like a relay team that's breaking a world record. That's a beautiful thing to experience.
The friendships that have come out of this thing, some people that I knew a little bit of, and people that like Mick Walsdorf that I didn't know at all. I consider him one of my great friends now, and it's a different level of relationship and understanding that is another gift of this whole thing.
My brothers see him like no other, all my favorite colors. It's a good day.
By this point in the project, the excitement, anticipation to open the park had been building for quite a while. The local community and seemingly entire golf world knew about this place. Everyone had been patiently waiting and wondering what the park would be like. The team came up with a simple phrase that answers that question.
I don't know if anyone's talked about that. Has anyone talked about open golf?
What does that mean?
So this is a phrase that was recommended to us by some folks we're working with to tell the story of the park so that people understand what it is.
It was a pretty cool presentation, but when those two words in that period popped up on the screen, I mean, you still get it. You got goosebumps.
8 letters, 2 words. It says everything. It's open. We're open to everybody. We're open-minded. We're open late. We've got lights. We got a par 3 course that's going to be open until 10 p.m. and a driving range. The phrase open golf is going to be core to everything that we're trying to say.
It literally applied internally. It became the conversation from our leadership team, developing our core values. Yeah, we want to open golf up.
And we're going to welcome anyone who wants to come. Anyone who wants to come.
Just after 2 years from groundbreaking, this idea has become a reality.
On the 4th, I guess.
Yes, sir.
Greg,
nice to meet you.
Hey, Chase. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Dylan.
Dylan, nice to meet you. You guys look
That adrenaline you get when you see someone using it that it was built for, and you get to see it in its full array of use. It's like game time. It's like lights on. You get re-energized for sure, and it's going to be super, super cool.
First group to hit on the green.
Really, in the end, I think more than anything else, what will determine whether we have achieved our goals and dreams or not, this is about serving the community, and much more than just having a place you can come tee it up. This is about, life lessons. This is about after-school tutoring. This is about, welcoming all kinds of golfers from 3 years old and up.
It was always about the community, about kids, about making people's lives better, about, making golf, not only accessible but invitational, and changing the perception of the game, right? At the end of the day, we all play golf because, it's fun, and we wanted this to be the happiest place in golf.
So my last question is a simple one, but who is the park for?
Acting like this is a trick question. Who is the park for?
Obviously every golfer, but everyone.
Yeah, everyone.
I mean, it's everyone.
We're going to welcome anyone who wants to come. Anyone who wants to come.
Think less but see it grow like a rider, not easily offended, not hard to let it go. From a mess to the masses, a list of mania. Think less but see it grow like a rider, not easily offended, not hard to let it go.
I mean, the park changed my life in a lot of ways. I showed up at the park with nothing but an attitude where I was like, I'll do anything for an opportunity to start again. I was really lucky that the park provided that opportunity for me. So yeah, when I go out there, I still get emotional about thinking where I was then and where I am now. And I know that the true spirit of the park, that storyline of opportunity is right there in front of you, whether it's a caddy out there for his first time, whether it's a kid getting a lesson for the first time. All of that is out there waiting to kind of be seized.
Earlier this year, I was randomly paired with this gentleman who has played here more than anyone else.
Hi, my name is Shelton Hochstetler. I have walked the park about 120, maybe 122 times. My favorite memory, of course, is hole number 3, where I got my 3rd hole-in-one. It's lifted this community up. The diversity of this course has been phenomenal. I don't think I've ever met one single person that I could say, oh, gee, I don't know if I'd like to play with them again. Always just phenomenal people.
We had never met, but I walked off the 18th green absolutely certain that the park works.
It's brought people together on this course. Now I never play anywhere else except the park.
As of now, November 2024, the park has been open for 18 months. It has become everything the founders hoped, dreamed, and more. In a short time, the park has become a home for so many. A place to play, to practice, to work, to learn, often for the first time. Simply put, the park is a place that positively impacts the lives of those who spend their time here. There is no better example of positively impacting lives than the PATH, the community outreach program at the park. Since opening day, the PATH has enrolled 82 students who attend economically challenged and underperforming elementary schools in West Palm Beach. These kids are enrolled in after-school and summer programming where they do physical activity, make friends, get academic help, and of course, learn the game. 96% of PATH students have seen their grades go up. 100% have been given an opportunity they may have never had without the park. This opportunity is what the park is all about. It's open golf, it's for everyone, and it's just the beginning.
By the notion, but you're ready for your close up now. You never wanted to have and hold anyhow. You say the world is too big and you're too small, but I think you're just my size.